Last week, Apple dropped iOS 26 with something called liquid glass interface design, and suddenly everyone's acting like they invented transparency.
But we need to talk about what's actually happening here.
I posted about it and got a wild mix of responses. Everything from agreeing with me to a 600-word essay about why I'm wrong.
You know what they say, don't look at the comments, but you did.
I did.
And clearly we hit a nerve.
But here's the thing.
While everyone's debating whether this is just Vista's Aero glass all over again,
We're missing the bigger picture about where design craft is heading.
Hey everyone, I'm Nolan.
And I'm Andy.
Welcome to the UX Outpost, where we break down what's really happening in design.
And what it means for all of us building products.
So let's start with what Apple is actually trying to do here and what they did wrong.
Well, it's a contrast catastrophe to start with.
It's like they froze the glass into a ball, and then they dropped that ball.
For starters, WCAG guidelines say text on a background needs 4.5 to 1 ratio, and this does not pass that. For any sort of UI surface elements or UI elements, it can be as low as 3 to 1, but I just don't believe that it's meeting those requirements.
And I think it's because there's black text on a light white background, and that's okay if the picture or the stuff that the glass thing is on top of was really dark or really light, right? Because it'll be white on white and then the black text. But when you've got the dynamic backgrounds with so low background layer blur and also so little opacity on that fill, it's going to break down, right?
What is the added benefit of being able to see the background surrounding context of whatever it is you're interacting with when the component, the UI component, the button, whatever it may be that you're interacting with is so much more important.
But it's liquid. It's liquid.
Liquid.
So speaking of liquid, let's go make liquid inside of Figma using their new texture stuff.
Yeah.
But it all came from
Brett from DesignJoy tweeted about this. A lot of people have been tweeting about this and saying recreating this in Figma is impossible. And so I've seen all of those tweets and I believed them for a long time. And then Brett from DesignJoy came out of nowhere and figured it out. So let's recreate this.
Yeah.
So we made it a mask. Do I have an image? Can you grab me an image?
Yeah, let me get an image.
I don't know what I'm doing. Do you know what I'm doing? Do you know what you're doing?
Do any of us know what we're doing?
Do any of us know? That's a great point. All right. So I got that. Next, we'll do the liquid blur layer. We'll add another circle with the mask layer, give it a fill of FFF and a fill opacity of 1. Then we'll add a background blur and texture effect like in the video below. So add another one that's bigger. What is that? 188. Background blur, leave it at 4. Add a texture, drag it below background blur. Set it to 80 and 32. $188. It was a background blur, leave it at 4. Add texture, 80 and 32. Drag it below the background blur. All right. Next, we'll add the inner shadow layer on top. Duplicate the mask layer, remove the mask, and place it on top of the other layers. Give it a fill of FFF and opacity of 1, then add in the inner shadows shown below in the video and give it a blend mode of plus lighter.
Got you your images.
Thank you. Okay. Oh. So I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to remove the mask and I'm going to move it above. Thanks for those images, by the way. Change it to FFF 1%, inner shadow 1, 1, 2, 50% black. One. inner shadow. 1, 1, 2, 50% black. Oh, we make that white actually. Add another inner shadow. -1, -1, 1. FFF. 25%. -1, -1, 1. FFF, 25%. How do you do that?
I mean, at this point, you could probably just, like that inner shadow stuff, like you could probably just make this a frame and put some inner shadows on it, like wrap it in a frame with some inner shadows, right? Like, do you need to do this dramatic? Like, does it need to be this perfect if we're going to be designing this stuff? Because, like, adding extra ellipses with all this stuff, is it going to, like, is this repeatable to just, like, copy and paste the style onto a button, you know?
Because it's on multiple things?
Yeah, like, as little things as possible, right?
Right.
And
Well, yeah. I mean, can we combine those layers? I don't know if you can.
Let's see. So I'm gonna try it with like a auto layout button, right? We've got one layer. It's a, what is it? This doesn't have texture. Okay, yeah. I think we can do this, man. Like, let me see. I'm gonna copy your texture and background blur, paste it onto this guy. Oh, I guess that's the problem. Is like the texture is getting is doing all of the like when you add texture to something, it does everything inside of the frame as that. So it does need like a layer.
Oh yeah.
That has the texture inside of it. Maybe what we could do, let's try some Figma Jiu-Jitsu. Let's remove these from the button. I'm gonna have like just a white at 1% is the fill, right?
On which layer? Oh, I guess it's all 1% white.
Okay.
Except for the mask. But I don't think that matters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then the texture is why you need the mask. Because you can see like the bubble, the texture is adding, texture beyond the button's bounds.
Could you clip contents?
Yeah, let's see.
Like make it more pronounced and bigger?
But you can't guarantee that. Oh yeah, maybe what we can do is like add like 20 pixels to each side. There you go.
More?
Like 40 maybe?
Yep.
Okay. And then now now is the moment of truth. And you can already see the accessibility issues here, right? As we're building this. But let's see. Is that set to scale, the rectangle? Nope, it's set to left and right. So I'm going to set the constraints instead of left and top. I'm going to set them to both to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully as this expands out, it did nothing because this is fixed with. Let's put a hug on it.
It's also ignoring.
Yo, there we go.
Oh.
Hell yeah. Why are you trying to be so complicated, Brett?
Can we add the inner shadows?
Yeah, definitely need to do that. I feel like we could do those with just normal effects, right? Or is that was like an extra layer? Oh yeah, okay, cool.
There's 2 inner shadow layers.
Yeah.
One to do the offset.
Done. Copied and pasted. Is that it? Was there more?
Did you get both of them?
Should have.
Yeah.
I feel like they're too soft though, right? Like they need to be darker or like brighter, I guess. Or more blurred, maybe? I don't know. I feel like Apple's was a little bit more in and a little bit more blurred, right? This looks great.
So when it's like right here, you can see that it says test FDA, but then like you move it somewhere where there's not as good contrast, like down here, and you lose it. And so I think that's where like dynamic responsiveness comes into play.
Like the background that the background of the text is sitting on another background, and that background needs to be considered. You're saying,
yeah. So these components need to be smart enough to know the context of what's behind it, so that it can invert based on what it needs to be. Especially if these buttons are kind of like free form and floating all over the place, and you can't predict where it's going to be. That component has to know to
like invert kind of thing.
Yeah.
But and so I guess if it's sitting here, what would happen? Would there be like almost like I guess would the text be the thing? Because you can't guarantee content inside is going to be contrasted, right? So you should really affect the background, right? So maybe we put like for this exact use case, it would need to be white more, I guess, right?
But if that's the case, like what's stopping us from just like having that be the standard across the board to guarantee that every single time?
Okay, so let's just try that. Bumping, it was at 1%.
Open my Pick a Mac app.
40 is very white.
So if I select, is this pure black text?
Yes, should be.
And then selecting that background. Like this is passing large AA, which I believe that text has to be at least 24 pixels, which it is here.
You can't guarantee.
But like, what if this is UI on a mobile phone and that size is 14 or 16 or whatever?
I think the other side too is the blur itself was only at 4 according to Brett from DesignJoy, and I think it needs to be more like 17 or so. You still get that, like you still see the warpness. It feels a little bit more like frosted liquid glass, you know, but like it probably still doesn't hit those guidelines, right? Like the accessibility, like contrast ratio, but it's on the way at least, right?
Yep.
The other angle is we could make this white and make the fill. Okay, shoot. I was not doing the right thing. This needs to be the 20. There you go. That feels less frosted. Maybe I'm just... Yeah, that feels less frosted, right? I don't know.
It
Still probably it's too frosted.
But it's still like that doesn't pass at all. Like
there you go.
At any level. And so I don't know.
And then how about that? Can you test that one?
White against black, that's obviously going to pass. But down here where it's lighter, that doesn't pass at all.
Oh, really?
This white on that.
And this is
the moral of the story. It's complicated.
Apple glass or liquid glass is not accessible. Yeah. It's a contrast catastrophe. But here's the thing, Andy. I don't think that this is really about pretty liquid glass anyways.
We're seeing this massive trend toward what people are calling retrofuturism or Neo-skeuomorphism. Brands are moving away from pure flat design towards something that has more personality.
And I mean, Apple basically invented skeuomorphism in the first place, right? Like they're not strangers to this. What's different now is they're trying to blend that tactile, realistic feeling with the minimalism that we've gotten used to over the past decade.
Meanwhile, most of us are still working on very flat web apps because that's what stakeholders understand. That's what they can wrap their minds around. Now AI is making it easier than ever to build functional software. We're going to see a flood of micro-feature apps that all look the same, all built with the same AI tools, all following the same flat design patterns.
Which creates this massive opportunity for designers who can push craft forward. But it's also terrifying because stakeholders aren't necessarily going to understand why craft matters.
There's this principle from Laws of UX called the aesthetic usability effect. Users perceive aesthetically pleasing design as more usable, even when it's not. But that happens at a subconscious level.
So when you're trying to sell a more crafted approach to a PM or a VP who just sees the design as a necessary cost center, they might not get why spending time on a visual polish matters.
But here's the thing. We've kind of dug our own graves as designers. We've created so many standards and best practices that these rarely debate in product meetings about style.
I remember when I first started in early 2010s, every aesthetic choice I made had to be justified. You had to fight for flat design even back then, but now it's just the default, and there's no conversation about whether there might be something better.
But that's changing. Brand is about to become the product, or at least the main reason people choose your product over competitors.
So that's the key point. Jordan Singer's work is probably the best example of all of this craft debate. And his button designs are absolutely beautiful, and they still feel really functional while nailing this skeuomorphism and Neo-skeuomorphism effects. So let's jump into Twitter, or X, or whatever you feel like calling it these days, and we'll jump over to Jordan Singer's profile.
So I'm scrolling his feed right now and just finding some options, some concepts of UI that he's made that really has this like tactile feel to it. It feels like very metal morphism.
It's kind of the opposite of glass or liquid glass, metamorphism. But I think that, yeah, there's just something about it that feels really like, it still feels flat. And I think that it's kind of like the bridge into like, look VP, look PM, like we're taking like craft seriously, but it still like fits into this like mold of, you know, cookie cutter flatness, right? Like, I mean, this definitely isn't cookie cutter, but it's like it's a way forward for us to like forge a path as designers to sell like craft and like more focus on like taking details on the buttons very seriously and beyond buttons too, obviously. But
love it.
Okay.
So should we recreate these in Figma?
I think that I can do Jordan Singer's buttons better than you.
You're lying. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea if you can even make these
I could
buttons.
do 3 in the amount of time that it takes you to do a half a button.
We're going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to make one button, and you're not even going to make one button, not even 3, okay? So pick a random button.
Yep.
Are you going to do text or the icon one? What are you going to do?
I'm going to do just a regular old traditional button with text.
Okay. I like these green ones. Wait. Are you doing the green one? Should we just both do the green one?
Get off my page.
I'm leaving. Wait, let me put 10 minutes on the clock.
Okay. Should we make it the size that it actually is
when
we import it?
Sorry. That's a good call. But like, what is the actual size? What are you doing it to? 12 pixels? 13 pixels? 16?
You talking about the font size?
Yeah. Let's make the same exact size button so there's
14.
No debate. You're going 14? Okay. I'll see you in 10 minutes, buddy. Are you the type of person who's going to like trace it? Like you're going to design it right on top? Or are you like...
I do often do that, yeah.
I mean, with this sort of stuff, it kind of makes sense, but also like I steal. I don't copy. Ooh. Or isn't that the way... What's the term?
Thief.
Hey, man. Okay. I'm over here trying to act like I'm better than you when all I'm doing is just like designing it right beneath it. I will color pick though.
How you doing over there?
Crushing it. I'm into this. The send button is made. I am about to get to the borders and stuff like that, or the stroke. What do you call it? Stroke or border? How many buttons have you made?
20. How many have you had?
Oh, I only committed to one, so I'm gonna make the best damn button you've ever seen. So it's okay. It's not as good as Driven Singers, probably.
I feel like you're trying to say something. I cannot figure out the inner shadows on this damn text.
That's butter, dude. That's butter right there, bro.
Pencils down.
Hands off your computer. Okay, Jesus Christ, that was loud.
All right.
Bro, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I don't even think you know what you're about to walk into.
Should I come to you?
If you want, whatever you want to do.
Following you.
Okay, so
Cute.
I played a lot with. I focused like on linear shadows a lot in the beginning stages, and then I realized like just there's so much glow that he puts at the bottom of these, like, and I kind of captured some of that here because what I tried to do was basically make it where I could like change the colors through like selection color. So what I did was just did one color and then had a bunch of linear gradients like on top of it.
Cool.
With like overlay effects.
Yep.
That gets it to where we can get like this metallic kind of vibe, but then also like a subscribe button or like really juicy. This almost feels like candy now kind of thing. But yeah, it feels pretty good. But then like I think that his like shadows on the bottom, like on this bottom part of the border, is really really good. But I guess did you do the same way? Like I kind of had like an inner auto layout, and then I wrapped it in another auto layout.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go into yours.
Thing.
Let's see yours, bud.
So we're.
By the way, that's 3 buttons right there.
That was 3 buttons. You nailed it. So here's mine.
Oh, this looks great.
You
got that glow really good.
I kind of just like matched it as closely as I could. I added a inner shadow on the inner frame. I actually, there is no like drop shadow or anything that's like creating any sort of like glow. It's all a single pixel Y position, no blur, with a 60% white or white layer, 60% opacity.
So did you color pick on these?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I like your method, your approach. a lot better than mine because you could easily change the color of these a lot easier.
But I think also too, like mine ends up like a little muddy because it's basically just like black with an overlay effect on top of it, right? So,
honestly, I feel like Jordan's is a lot muddier than yours.
Really?
That like top layer of his just feels more gray and muddy than green.
that's true.
And so I really like yours, especially this red one. That one's tight.
Also,
that looks good.
Subscribe. Yeah, the house little
Subscribe
icon
that
thing.
smash button.
Perfect. Yeah, so comparing the two, honestly, ours are like cool in different ways. Like yours feels flatter than mine, which honestly might be more of a selling point to like stakeholders, right? Like this is like we just spent 10 minutes on this button, and like we probably still got a ways to go to tighten this up if we're really wanting to be perfect.
Yeah.
But that's a scary thing for a stakeholder, I'm sure. Yeah, and actually I did a live over in Figma's office, and I kind of copied some of these styles from Jordan Singer, but then I also mixed it in with some like glassmorphism. And I think that it's a good combo of all of this. Obviously it works and it's accessible because the background is black, right? But I think that it's a good combination between like these glassy effects and then also like the metallic on top. So I think that could be a way to approach some of these new design patterns is like using glass on the UI parts and then the interactive elements. Instead of just like splashing it with a different color, it's doing like kind of a different style or a heavier fill, right? Because like now in this world of liquid glass, are all buttons going to kind of look the same? Because we can treat it differently now because we've got different levels of fill and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways,
this is cool.
I think it's a good combo to like demonstrate where we can get to it. It's the best designed app you've ever seen. I did this in 30 minutes. I'm just like the world's best designer.
But that button looks exactly like the button that we just recreated. So I can tell, like, this is the first time I ever designed a button like that with the layers and the effects and all that. You've designed one or two buttons like this, so you just like had it in your back pocket. You spent 10 minutes making those buttons. You could have probably cranked that out in like 2 minutes.
I should have just gone and copied it from this file.
How do I know you didn't?
You'll never know. So I made a video about Jordan's buttons on TikTok, and the comments were fascinating. It was completely split between I'm a developer and I hate you, and as a developer, this is exactly the type of stuff that I want to build.
That tension is so real. Some developers see complex shadows and think performance nightmare. It reminds me of that viral TikTok video of the designer versus the developer. Have
Which
you seen
one?
that?
No.
Let me see if I can pull it up. So good. But it makes me think like we just spent 10 minutes working on these buttons. Let's go build these buttons using Figma Make.
What? Well, actually, should we do the glass too? We should probably do maybe I do the glass or you do the liquid glass one. See if we can recreate that as a button.
Okay.
Do you want to do this and I'll do the other one? Or vice versa?
I'll do liquid glass.
Okay. You want me to use my button instead of yours? Wait. I'm going to put both of these into a frame. This is what Figma made. We're going to do Andy's versus Nolan's. Hold on one second.
So it didn't use the image that I had. I can drag my button. And I see an orb. This is interesting. Background is just like purple gradient, so you can't really get the sense of
That feels really nice.
the liquid. Yeah.
Can you interact with it, with that orb, or no? No. Dude, that's it.
There was a button that like went off frame. I like threw it too far.
Try getting a picture in the background so you can see if it actually blurred the background, you know?
I've replaced the gradient background with an image. I still feel like you can't really tell. And that button isn't a liquid glass button.
No, it's not blurring it.
No, it's like a purple.
Did you actually say in the prompt liquid glass or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Create a liquid glass effect where the orb is controlled by your cursor and the button can move around the canvas too. And I included a picture of the actual frame. So even Figma Make doesn't know what liquid glass is yet.
Yeah, my buttons are okay.
Let me see.
They the code layers struggled with our two. I mentioned to make it like a 3D effect, and I think that it added this little jut to the bottom to make it feel more like a button sitting out, but it just kind of looks like older vibe. But yours actually looks pretty good. It held up a little bit better. There's no click effect yet, but
Yeah, I did a better job.
I don't know if I go there. I don't know if I go there. Then I pulled it into make only, and it did a little bit better on mine.
Yeah.
It kind of did yours a little bit better too, even. So, anyways.
Cool. So where does this leave us as designers?
I think we're at an inflection point where craft is about to become way more important, but also harder to sell to stakeholders who aren't used to thinking outside of the box and using design as a differentiator.
The designers who figure out how to bridge that gap, who can create beautiful, crafted interfaces while still shipping fast and meeting business goals, those are the ones who are going to thrive.
And tools like AI coding assistants are going to make the "but it's too hard to build" argument so much less valid.
Apple shipping liquid glass, even if it's not perfectly executed, sends a signal that craft matters again, that it's okay to push beyond the flat design.
The question is, are we ready to have conversations with our teams about why aesthetics matter? Because it's not just about looking pretty. It's about standing out in a sea of AI-generated mediocrity.
So we just spent an hour analyzing Apple's liquid glass and basically figured out how to recreate it ourselves.
We also spent some time, a lot of time, making a crazy button with 20 layers of fills and shadows and all of it. Don't worry, though. You can code it.
If you want to see the actual breakdowns we talked about, we'll link to Jordan Singer's and Brett from DesignJoy's work.
And if you're a developer who's been crying, watching all these elaborate design mockups, maybe it's time to try building one. It might not be as painful as you think.
Thanks for listening to UX Outpost. We'll be back next week with more takes on what's actually happening in design.
Until then, go add some shadows to something. And also, join our Patreon.